Realization. The 2022 ending. She wanted to explore her options. Hi, me and my wife have been married for 9 years. We have a beautiful 2-year-old boy, and I love her dearly. With that being said, I do believe she has had at least one affair on me. I found out she was talking to her ex-boyfriend for over a year almost on a daily basis. She had his number under a fake name. His name was Pete, but she had the contact listed as Amber to hide it from me. He lives halfway across the country, but there was one business trip she went on where I'm pretty sure they met up. He lives close to where she went, and he called when her plane landed, but I was told not to because her plane was landing too late. Anyway, she claims it was purely friendship, and he was just giving her advice on how to deal with our marital problems at the time, and that they were merely catching up. She denies any wrongdoing and says I'm crazy. We have fought about this many times. I'm told that I'm not to bring it up. If I do, she immediately goes on the defense and it turns into a huge fight. So I hold it all in, but it consumes me to the point where I can't even function or enjoy life anymore. Yeah, I know she's not doing it anymore. After she got caught, she deleted pretty much everything before I could get to it. Facebook messages, text messages, phone numbers. My problem is that she won't come clean and admit it. She won't even admit having an emotional affair. I mean, who catches up every day for a year? I did read one message where she was saying how special he is to her and how she doesn't sleep with me, which is a lot. However, she claims it was purely friendship. But I'm sure there were more messages. But like I said, they were all deleted before I could get to them. She says she is sorry and has been kissing my bottom and being perfect wife, and says this was a wake-up call for our marriage. I just wish she would admit the truth so we can move on, but if she can't tell the truth about this, what else is she lying about? Can I ever trust her again? I definitely heard all that crap from her. First of all, I'm far from perfect, but I hate when she blames her behavior on me. It was all my fault. As far as polygraphs go, I really don't believe in them. I think they are inaccurate. She says she will take one, but she could be bluffing. But is it possible she didn't physically cheat? We all know she emotionally did, and I would be willing to forgive that if she would admit it. She claims she is dishonest with me to avoid a confrontation. We went to 2 different marriage counselors, and they both took her side and told me to move forward, and that I'm crazy, but I just can't ignore my gut feeling. This is torture. Trickle truth, rug sweeping. She is doing all that and more. I guess all cheaters have the same handbook, as far as spyware and tapping her phone goes. I'm not very computer savvy when it comes to that kind of stuff. I tried to install spyware on her phone, but I couldn't get it to work. I'm not really worried about my future. I'm a good-looking, successful guy. Would have no problem getting a date if I were to be single. But I want to try to save the marriage if possible for my little boy. I never had a father growing up, and I want to be here for him, so I'm torn. I guess I'm in a state of limbo right now. I have decided that there is no more reasoning with her. She has totally shut down. I'm not to bring it up. If I do, I get the same automated response, move on, move forward. It's in the past, nothing happened. If I push the issue, she throws a childlike tantrum and often get violent. I've been punched, kicked, and spit on. She says she's done answering my questions. Really, why would she have a problem answering questions if there's nothing to hide? I would ultimately like to reconcile if at all possible. If she had a physical affair, then fine. We could work through it, but I need honesty and closure to move on. I know this affair took place in 2019, but I just found out about it recently. We don't fight and argue about it anymore. As long as I don't bring it up, we get along fine. Like I said, since she got caught, she has really been trying. She always said she hated bonding, and we would go months on end without it, but since she got caught, she's like a princess in the bedroom. Maybe she's just guilty. As far as her physical violence against me, she says she is tired of being interrogated. Can't control her anger. So as long as I don't bring it up, we're fine. Plus I'm 6'5" and 280 pounds, so I just laugh it off. Still doesn't make it right, I know. As far as a polygraph goes, I don't need it. I know what happened. So does she. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. My problem is that she won't come clean about the affair. She just continues to carpet sweep the whole thing. Also, this wasn't the only ex she was communicating with. There was one other guy too who was local, but she sticks to the we're just friends catching up story. Trickle down truth. Like I said, I want to reconcile and save our marriage and family, but frankly I'm insulted that she thinks I'm stupid enough to believe her bull crap. I know I have to do some serious soul searching and take some action soon, because until I get closure, this will eat me alive, and holding it in to avoid an argument and carpet sweeping won't work for me. So on to guy number 2. I found his number on her cell phone too. However, this time the number wasn't hidden under a fake name. I guess her and this guy never actually went out. She says he was an old high school friend and they had hooked up physically a couple times before she knew me. Then they decided they would be better off as friends. I asked her then why you still have his number. House number and cell number too, I might add. Her answer was she ran into him one day on a street corner and she took his number just to be nice, but never called him. Sounds fishy. Anyways, long story short, turns out that story wasn't true. So her new story was that she saw on Facebook that he had a death in the family and sent him a message with her phone number in case he needed somebody to talk to. But she says he never called. Oh, but wait, then she admitted to having one conversation with him. However, I read the obituary, and the passing occurred in 2018, so the dates don't match up if her story is true. Then after months of fighting and agony she admitted to having 2 conversations with him. Trickle-down truth, anybody. My question is, if this was all so innocent as she says it is, then why is there a need to lie? I have never been a jealous guy. She could have been like, he had a death in the family and I called to say I'm sorry. I would have been fine with it, but the fact that she is going to such great lengths to lie throws a red flag to me. And yes, I did contact this guy myself. He said they talked a few times, but nothing happened. But then again, if I screwed a married woman and her husband called, I would probably say the same thing, so who knows? I think it's time for me to make a move here. I have gotten some good advice and I want to thank you all. I really do feel so much better by sharing my story and knowing there are others that are going through the same feelings as me. Anyways, I brought up the idea of a polygraph in marriage counseling, and the counselor said that's an outrageous request and he advises my wife not to do it and that I should take her word for it because after all, without trust our marriage is doomed. So basically, I'm crazy and obsessed, and there's something wrong with me. That's what everybody, including her friends and family, think. But I know I'm right. She is considering the polygraph at the moment. Anyways, one last thought. Why does it seem that the nice guys always finish last and the jerk always gets the girl? Example, I am a hardworking man, great job, 6-figure income, physically fit, attractive, provide for my family, treat her like gold. The ex she was chasing, ex-con, no job, lives in trailer park with his mom at 35, cheated on her multiple times when they were together, and an overall piece of crap. All I ever heard about this guy was how horrible he was to her and how I saved her. But yet she still chases him. Deep down I know she still loves him and that I can never compete. I'll always be number 2, or the guy she settled for. Just don't get it. Update: had the polygraph test done. She agreed, but it wasn't easy, fighting threats, but ultimately, she agreed. Okay, on to the test. Looked up a guy on the internet, he had all the credentials and over 30 years experience. I did some research and it all checked out. Paid him $500 and he said he would travel to our house, only 1 hour away. So, he shows up. My wife is nervous as hell, twirling her hair, looking out the window every 5 seconds, tells me not to speak to her. Anyways, he does the pre-interview, asks questions and formulates a list of questions. Then I'm told to leave while they conduct actual tests. I guess this is standard practice. So, I take my son to get a Happy Meal. We are literally gone 10 minutes and I get a text to come back. Wow, that was quick. Anyways, I come back and he basically said she passed with flying colors and she definitely didn't cheat. Now she's gloating and saying, I told you so. Honestly, I'm not convinced at all. I don't believe in polygraphs and I think I got duped out of $500, but I guess at this point I got to let it go. But one question that will always haunt me is, if she didn't cheat, then why all the lies and deleted texts and fake phone numbers? Guess I'll never know. On a positive note, since the test we have been reading the book Not Just Friends that was suggested to read on here. It has done a lot of good for both of us. She now acknowledges that she did have an emotional affair. The book opened her eyes to this and she never looked at it like that before. So at this point I think we're going to try and reconcile. But from now on I'm going to be more careful and know the warning signs. I was told by the polygraph examiner that this was standard procedure for me to leave the premises. Otherwise the person being questioned may become nervous or distracted. I'm no expert on polygraph tests, so I figured I would comply. I took my 2-year-old son to get a Happy Meal for lunch. We didn't even get out of the drive-thru and I got a text to come back. The test was done. Seemed awful fast to administer a thorough test, 10 to 15 minutes tops. But like I said, I'm no expert. And I thought getting a polygraph would put an end to this hell. But it didn't and I'm out $500. As far as doing physical favors for the polygraph examiner to manipulate the test, as some of you suggest, I highly doubt it. The guy was like 400 pounds and smelled like he hasn't showered in a week. If she did that, well, that's her problem, I guess. Who knows what really happened? Maybe the guy felt guilty about breaking up our family. Maybe she's telling the truth. Or maybe the test was inaccurate. I'm more confused now than ever. Polygraph was a bad idea. I think at this point I'm going to let it go. What I think happened was she went crazy when Facebook came along. She found all her old ex-boyfriends and started chit-chatting with them. How far it went I'll probably never know. She swears up and down on our kid's life that it never went physical. But I just don't buy it. At this point I really don't even care anymore. The thing that gets me is that it changed me as a person. I was always a trusting, easygoing guy. In almost 10 years we have been together, I never even looked at her phone, computer, or ever asked about her whereabouts. We had a trusting relationship and it was a beautiful thing, or so I thought. Now I'm a jealous prick, constantly watching her every move, questioning everything, looking through her phone, computer, and basically being a detective. And that's just not me. It's no way to live. I hate doing it. So for my own sanity, I'm going to let it go. I'll never totally trust her again and I'll always keep a watchful eye. I truly think she is sorry and deep down knows she screwed up. She has really been trying hard to fix our marriage, so I think we are going to try and reconcile. It's a tough situation for sure. I guess the problem is that I don't have any concrete evidence. Innocent until proven guilty, right? She passed the polygraph test, as shady as it seemed, but I did my research and the guy really checked out. has all the credentials, references, polygraph, if anyone wants to check it out. My wife has really been trying and seems sincere. She is a great mother to our son, and everything she has been doing lately has been all about our family. The last time the other man texted her a few months back, she showed me the text and then texted him back to not contact her again. She gets angry when I keep on her about this because in her mind she done everything I have asked, and I won't let it go. So, where do I go from here? Despite all this, my gut is telling me something's not right here. I don't want to get into whole spying thing. To me it's mentally exhausting, time-consuming, and not to mention very expensive. The affair took place a long time ago and everything has been deleted, so I'm pretty much screwed in that respect. I guess my only option is to put this behind me and move on at this point. I truly love my wife and family. Hopefully she's turned over a new leaf and is sincere about it. We have a new set of rules now: no opposite gender friends, full transparency with phones, passwords. It's all about rebuilding trust. That's going to be the hard part. I was asked to leave the premises for the actual test. When I got back, he said she passed with flying colors and did not cheat, but I didn't get a rundown of actual questions and answers. I guess there was no need for that because she was innocent, right? Anyways, we are reading the book Not Just Friends, and it is helping both of us, and she now admits to having an emotional affair, but says it never went physical. Let me clear up one thing, as far as me being lazy or passive about this. I have spent countless hours and tons of money on searching internet, phone records, Facebook, texts, reverse phone number lookups, polygraph tests, and so on. I have lost 40 pounds from not eating or sleeping. I almost lost my job because of missed time and poor performance because all I do all day every day is think about this, and it makes it hard to concentrate on work. I am now on antidepressant meds and spent 3 days in the mental ward at my local hospital. So, what's next? Another polygraph. Another $500. Another round of madness. Do I really have enough evidence to justify a divorce, selling the house, breaking up my family, going through court, lawyers, more money, child support, weekend visits, watching another man raise my child? I know we have all been betrayed and it's natural to assume the worst. Chances are that she did cheat, and I know that. However, an emotional affair doesn't always lead to a physical one. After D-Day for me, I had an emotional affair of sorts. I confided in a gorgeous blonde that I work with. I began telling her about my problems with my wife. I think she felt sorry for me. We began texting and calling, and even went out for lunch a couple of times. She also told me about her problems with her boyfriend. I, however, didn't hide this from my wife. I rubbed her face in it. I wanted to give her a taste of her own medicine. I was out for revenge. Immature, I know. Anyways, my point is that I didn't sleep with her, and I could have. I have self-control. So not all emotional affairs lead to physical affairs. And based on the evidence I have, I can't 100% prove that she had slept with anyone. I am definitely interested in data recovery, but here's my problem. I don't know what to do. Most of her dirty work was done through Facebook messaging, and I'm sure I would find proof there, but she deleted everything before I could read them all. I read some, probably 10%, then she wiped everything clean before I could read the rest. I've been researching how to recover deleted FB messages, and I guess there's no way. Once they're gone, that's it. I know she has been behaving herself since she's been exposed, so there's no sense in spying on her now. She's been super wife lately. It's kind of like after a drug dealer gets busted. They usually won't continue to deal if they know they're being watched. So, she's on her best behavior, and maybe she really wants to change. Regardless, I need to know the truth in order to reconcile, and I know she's hiding something. As far as trying to recover deleted texts, she gets a new phone every 2 years, so I couldn't get texts from when the affair happened, and she threw out her old phone, so I'm pretty much screwed. I think I may be in denial. I want to believe her so bad. We have a great life together, everything we could ever want, beautiful family, nice home, great jobs. I cannot fathom that the woman that I have spent the last 11 years with, the mother of our child, the woman I took to the altar and said our wedding vows with, could do this. I'm not perfect, but I treat her like gold. I'm the type of guy that brings home flowers for no reason, buys her nice gifts because I want to make her smile. I want to believe that it was only an emotional affair. I believe we could work through an EA if it turned physical. I couldn't reconcile because of risk of pregnancy, diseases, and it's just plain nasty. I also had a paternity test done for our son, and turns out he is mine. Thank God. Her newest excuse for her behavior is that she was struggling with her weight at the time of her affair. My wife gained a lot of weight at one point during our marriage. I always stood by her through this, totally supported her, and said, I know you will lose the weight. She has been dieting and exercising and has lost 80 pounds since. She said she was so disgusted with herself during this time that she contacted her old boyfriends on Facebook because the last time they saw her she was skinny, and that she would have been embarrassed to see them, much less take her clothes off. Also, she said this is the reason she cut me off from bonding too. She also said she wanted them to see how great her life turned out even though they treated her badly and dumped her. Sounds good, right? But why was she talking to the one guy for over a year? What were they talking about? Why all the lies? Why the fake phone contacts? Why did she delete everything? Is it possible that maybe she only had an EA, or am I in denial? She has answered these questions, but I guess I'm not satisfied. She seems to have an answer for everything. For example, if you didn't cheat, then why did you feel the need to lie? Because I was afraid you would flip out. Why was your ex-BF's phone number hidden under a fake girl's name? Because I was confiding in him as a friend to discuss our marital problems, and I knew you wouldn't understand. For over a year, I might add almost every day. She now admits it was an It took her about a year to admit it. Why did you totally wipe out and delete all your Facebook messages? Because I was sick of you harassing me. I was able to read about 10% of her FB messages before she deleted them. Read one where she told other man that he's so darn special to her and how she doesn't have to sleep with me. So yeah, she has an answer for everything. My biggest mistake is that I found out about other man and immediately confronted her. She then had the opportunity to go into damage control and delete all the evidence. Knowing what I know now, I would have sat back and gathered more evidence before I confronted her. Lesson learned, I guess. Another thing, it seems that everyone including her and her family thinks I'm crazy. Even my own mother is on her side. I told them about Tam and they said you can't believe everything on the internet and that it's probably fake, or I'm probably talking to a bunch of serial killers or something. So I asked them, before you judge Tam, why don't you check it out for yourselves? Not one of them will. They say I'm beyond obsessed and mentally ill and need professional help. Or so I guess I'm the bad guy in all this, huh? My wife has everybody snowed and has turned everyone against me to take the focus off of herself. Anyways, my plans for the near future are to take the computer to a professional and to see what they can retrieve. It's probably a long shot at this point, but worth a try. I can't wait for the day when the truth finally comes out. We're supposed to be having a legit R, and part of that deal is 100% transparency. Then why am I still finding out more info, and only after I threaten to check the computer? She will only tell me the bare minimum of what she thinks I know, or what she absolutely has to. Truth is, I can prove she was talking to at least 3 exes, but I know there were many more men she's not going to tell me about. My wife is one of those girls that has tons of guy friends, and remains friends with all her exes. I'm sure we all know the type. When I was single and I would be dating, if I encountered one of these girls, I would run for the hills, because these type of women are usually a disaster when it comes to a committed relationship. The problem is that I didn't know she was like that, or else I would have never married her. It was only after the huge Facebook social media boom that things went downhill. She reached out to pretty much every guy she ever knew, exes, friends, guys she went to school with, sent them all messages including her phone number. She claims to be curious as to how everybody's life turned out. To me, a simple email would have sufficed, and the sending of the phone number was crossing the line for a married woman. After all, she is sending her phone number to multiple men on the internet. Do I think she had an E or 2 or 3? Absolutely. Do I think she was texting and having inappropriate conversations? Oh yeah. Do I think she met up with anybody for a P? Probably not, and I'll tell you why. When this was going on, she was extremely obese, 250 pounds. The last time these guys saw her, she was 120 pounds and super hot. Now put yourself in her shoes. Do you think she would meet up with an ex being so overweight? This is the same girl that would hide from people in the supermarket or refuse to get her picture taken in family portraits out of embarrassment. Now put yourself in the ex's shoes. Imagine going to meet up with your old GF and seeing her twice the size that she used to be. I mean, who would want to sleep with an obese person? Me personally, I would probably run for the hills. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. My wife has made great progress with her weight since then. She is on a strict diet and goes to aerobics class 3 times a week and has lost 100 pounds without surgery so far and looks great. She says the only reason she acted out in this way is because of her low self-esteem and being overweight. Also, she claims to need constant attention from men due to her father abandoning her at an early age. I want to save my marriage more than anything. I love this woman. Is it possible she was just living the fantasy of being the skinny pretty girl over the phone and computer, and it wasn't a PA? Because a PA is the deal breaker for me because of the risk of disease or pregnancy. We have both been going to IC and we're going to a MC together as well. My counselor is basically telling me that I'll probably never know the truth, and that I need to either stay in the marriage or move on. But if I decide to stay, I need to drop it for good for my own sanity. Her counselor has helped her realize some of the reasons why she acted out this way and for her need for constant male attention. They talk about her body image issues and also her father abandonment issues. Turns out she was also ex as a child by her creepy uncle too. May explain some of our physical problems too. A few months ago, she got a text from other man #1 who was the main guy she was talking to. She immediately showed me the text and said, "What do you want me to do?" It was basically a "Hey stranger, haven't heard from you in a while" type of thing. I mentioned the NC letter. She didn't do the letter but did send a NC text right in front of me. I thought that was a positive step. She also blocked his number and blocked him on Facebook. She now acknowledges that she was in a deep fog and was mentally ill at the time. She seems to be really sorry and seems sincere. However, I do believe the only reason if it didn't go physical was her weight. If she was skinny, she would have been humping away like a rabbit. As a man, the problem I'm having is why she needs the constant male attention from other guys. I'm a big, strong guy, very much the alpha type. I have a great physique, work out a lot, do typical guy things. So why am I not enough to fill her need for testosterone, as she says? Really crushing to my manhood, to say the least. I do believe this marriage can be saved. She apologizes every day for her actions and says she was pathetic and says she loves me more than anything. We're going to marriage counseling tonight. I think I'm going to discuss what I think a true R and what true transparency should be. So, we went to a new MC last night, making this our third counselor. I swear they are all the same. I give up. Every single one of them have the same exact script. 1. Rug sweep the affair, don't talk about it. It's in the past and she's not doing it anymore, so it doesn't matter. I don't need to know details, and if she says she didn't physically cheat, then I should believe her. 2. He disagrees with the total transparency concept. Thinks it's a bad idea. Why don't you just mount a camera on her head? He actually said that. 3. Thinks I'm crazy and obsessed, said I'm mentally ill and suggested that I be put on medication. 4. Explained a few concepts that I learned here, such as trickle truth, affair fog, rug sweeping, and so on. He looked at me, shaking his head with his smug grin, and said, "That's absurd. I'm just really disappointed. This guy came highly recommended, and actually has a PhD, not just a regular social worker like the other two, so I was hoping he wasn't a complete moron." They must all follow the same script. 1.5 years later. My wife had one affair about 5 years ago with an ex she hooked up with on Facebook. It lasted about 6 months. He eventually moved out of state and dumped her like a piece of trash. I know she went physical with him, but I also suspect there were others. Going through her Facebook messages, she was messaging every ex-boyfriend and guy friend she ever had. She says she just wanted to catch up and was curious to how their lives turned out. Okay, innocent enough, but why did she have to include her phone number with every message? I mean, married women aren't supposed to send their number to multiple men over the internet, right? I'm talking at least 10 different guys she sent her phone number to. Some were ex-boyfriends, some were just friends, or so she says. Going through her mobile phone, she had guys' numbers under fake names. For example, Pete would be listed as Amber, and so on. I became quite the detective over the course of this madness. I made the mistake of confronting too soon out of anger, and she deleted everything: Facebook messages, phone numbers, text messages, so I only have proof of the one affair, and she won't admit to anything other than what I can prove. Went to 3 different marriage counselors, and they all had the same script. Move on, forgive and forget, move forward, it's in the past. Totally sided with her and made me out to be the crazy one for not getting over it. Long story short, I decided to stay and reconcile because we have a 4-year-old boy together. Yes, had a paternity test done, and he is my child. I have an older child from a previous marriage, and I didn't want to relive the years of family court, child support, weekend visits, etc. Also, for financial reasons, if I leave now, I would literally lose everything. My first wife already gets almost half my paycheck, so I would literally be screwed. 5 years later, and it still haunts me every day. I have my good days and my bad days. I have nightmares and hold a lot of resentment towards my wife. We're basically civil to each other and coexist. I go through the motions like a robot. I told her I'll never love her as my wife again, and she's more like a friend or roommate at this point. My main problem is that I know she's still not telling me the whole story and never will, and I'm forbidden to talk about it. I'm not seeing any real remorse on her part. She just tells me what I want to hear to get me to shut up. I do still sleep with her once in a while when I get needy. Hey, why not? Figured I'd throw that in there. Okay, about me. I'm 41, in great shape, and I'm a pretty damn good-looking guy, or so I've been told. I have a job where I meet attractive women every day. I get at least 3 phone numbers a week without even trying. I've slept with a lot of women this past couple of years. It's become almost an addiction to me, fueled by revenge and anger towards my wife, coupled with a huge male ego and crushed pride. I tell any women that I hook up with that I'm in a bad marriage and I'm just looking for a physical thing, and most of them are more than fine with that. Also, the last 2 women I slept with were married. I'm not saying what I'm doing is right, just want some thoughts and feedback. I guess as the old saying goes, if you can't beat them, join them. It is a sorry way to live and not proud of it. I don't go around chasing women, they approach me. I don't just sleep with married women. The last one was married and said she loves her husband and he's her best friend, but she's not physically attracted to him anymore. I'm not the bad guy here. My wife was cheating for years before I ever thought about it. Trust me, I would love to be single again. I can't afford to leave. My first wife already gets half of my paycheck. I'd literally be homeless and working 70 hours a week, no thanks. She cheated before I did. I never even thought about it before I found out she did. I even stayed faithful for a while after I found out. Went to marriage counseling and got nowhere. I started a new job where I meet a lot of women every day. I know I said it's for revenge, but at the end of the day I know it's wrong and it doesn't feel any better. I never thought that way before, but after this experience I think differently. She told me that she was so against cheating and it represents everything she's against. And then she does it. She would never do that to me. And then I see married women hitting on me constantly. I've slept with 2 but probably could have slept with 10 if I wanted. So that's just my experience with married women. This experience has changed me and my whole outlook on life and people in general. I know I'm going to get nailed to the cross for this one, but here it goes. I thought that maybe I would be a hero of sorts to some of my fellow men on here. We're all here for the same reason. We have all been betrayed. I remember the sleepless nights, severe depression, not being able to eat, spending hours going through computer files and cell phone records trying to find any shred of evidence, to the point of absolute madness, literally breaking down in tears at work every day, and basically wanting to die. Sound familiar? Yeah, we all been through it or are going through it. That's why we're all here. My wife's refusal to discuss this situation is driving me mad. Her attitude is it's over and done, so let's move forward, and that's it. If I bring it up, she flips out. Like I said, the subject is off limits. I still think about it constantly and have nightmares. In a true R, she would be honest with me and tell me everything that happened, but she won't, and I would forgive her if she would just tell me the truth. I can never have any closure to this situation under these circumstances. So, I decided to give her a taste of her own medicine. It was my way of dealing with the pain. But you know what, it didn't work because I feel worse than I did before, and I've become a cheater me. I realize now that my behavior sucks and I've been hurting people, so I'm going to stop. I know it's not right. I know my behavior has been terrible and I handled things in the wrong way. My plans are to try and salvage my marriage, and I'm not going to have any more revenge affairs. I told my wife this morning I will tell her everything if she does the same. Her response: why are we still talking about this? So, she's obviously not interested. So, I'll chalk it up as a learning experience and know now what not to do. Thank you all for giving me a different perspective on what I was doing. I know I was wrong and I'm not proud of it. I guess revenge isn't all it's cracked up to be. First of all, I don't go around targeting married women, they chase me. This last girl I slept with, yes, she was married and hell-bent on having sleeping with me. I talked to her about it and she said she was 100% sure it's what she wanted. Yeah, of course, now I feel like a scumbag, but I'm sure I wasn't her first and I won't be the last guy she cheats with. How about the girl before her? She wasn't married but had a boyfriend. Does that count? Guys, don't you see? I'm not the problem here. The other men who screwed my wife are not the problem here. It's these unfaithful women who go man-chasing are the problem. There will always be some needy guy waiting in the wings, you can count on that. Hate me if you want, but at least I'm being honest and telling it like it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything because it's called the reality of the world we live in. I think she'll always associate me with being the good guy, hardworking, breadwinner of the house type of guy. I don't know, I think she just goes through the motions as well. Pretty much just stares off into space and twirls her hair all the time. So, I just go on and live my life as if she's my roommate for the most part. I'm done being a doormat for my wife or for any woman. I've improved my life and am much happier now than I was. I made a horrible mistake by sleeping with a married woman. Just a couple of final thoughts, if I may. As far as a child home wreck count, I guess mine would be 0. As far as I know, both women are still married. And if they got divorced tomorrow, would it be my fault or the 10 other guys they cheated with? Maybe their husbands can form a lynch mob and go out and beat up all the other men. Yeah, that's the answer. Let's get them. Or maybe look at the real problem right in front of them, their cheating wives who chase other men. The sad thing is I used to think like some people, but time passes and you eventually get over it. Change the way you think and free yourself from this misery. I know hours and days of investigating and gathering evidence, thousands of dollars later, and you want to know what I found out. My wife was lying to me and sleeping around. Wow, big surprise, I knew it deep down all along. Know what else I found out? She had an internet dating account and even co-signed a car loan for one of her little boyfriends, which of course he stopped paying and it screwed our credit. The worst part is she completely cut me off from any physical contact for over a year because she hates bonding, and I stayed faithful. She was out sleeping with her little boyfriend while I played with myself. I'm alone every night. Want to talk about betrayal? Years later and 3 different marriage counselors, and her attitude is I'm closing that chapter of my life and I'm forbidden to bring it up ever. So finally, after much humiliation and having my manhood shattered, I went off the deep end. I wanted to reclaim my manhood and thought the way to go was to screw anything on sight. Married, single, divorced, engaged, boyfriend. Didn't care, as long as she was hot and willing, being brutally honest. What I didn't realize is that I've become the piece of crap that I've always hated by doing this. I've become that guy, the sleazeballs. Not proud of that either. This whole experience has changed me as a person and has changed the way I look at women. My comment: what do you think about this end of the year story? Did it surprise you? Comment down and I'll keep more videos coming for 2023.